Right, everybody, thank you so much for joining the webinar. What we do, we do this every year where we have parents of students who have been through the application journey in various countries join and speak to parents who are aspiring and share their experiences, share their learnings. And I know a lot of the people who have joined and who showed an intention to join are parents who are just starting this journey. And there is so much to learn. For us as counselors, I've been working as a college counselor now for 10 years and as a career counselor for over 20 years. And in all this time, I feel that every year I learn something new because this area is constantly evolving and there is so much that changes in every destination, so much that changes in every college. And you'll find as you go along the journey that you really learn so much. And it's like I find so many parents at the end of the journey say, oh, I'm now ready to counsel someone, right? Get me a kid where I can tell them everything that I've learned. So this is really why we do this session, so we can have parents really share their learnings with other parents. And please feel free to ask your questions. There is a chat box over here. Please put any questions you have in the chat box, and we'll try and get you as many answers as we possibly can. So we'll start with a short video, and then we will move forward. Right? Okay, so here we are. This is a video on our work and how we approach working with students. So it's really a journey of self-discovery and learning, and it's a very interesting and exciting journey where students really all their efforts through school and through high school come together to give them their vision of who they can be and really to get them started on their journey. So joining me along from my team is Ankit and the two parents who we have over here. We've got Manish, whose son applied for economics and finance this year. Your son studied in Singapore. I know, Manish, maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit. And Ganga's daughter is studying design right now in the US. And I'll invite you both, Manish and Ganga, to introduce yourselves. Manish, why don't you go first?
Yeah, hi, Richa. First, thanks for inviting me. So we have been in Singapore, living in Singapore for the last 12 years approximately. So my son is going to UChicago for economics. We did apply to US and UK. I mean, a bunch of colleges. Typically, my son's school allowed 10 applications. So we applied across US and UK. Those are our preferences. And then luckily we got into UChicago. So we're very happy with the entire process.
Wonderful. Yeah, and he was a very hardworking student also, and I'm really so happy. Congratulations for all the wonderful results you came in. And he got his ED, so then, we didn't have to apply to a lot of the other colleges. So, that was really wonderful. And Ganga, over to you.
Yeah, hi. I'm so happy to be here today, Richa, and just share our experiences with parents here who are eagerly waiting to have their kids attend college in different parts of the world. My daughter is doing her bachelor's. This is a bachelor's in fine arts, which is specialization in comics, and it's a very niche program. We didn't find it anywhere else in the world, and yeah, and she got this because I think it was her dream as a child also to do something which was both combining art and writing skills, and this somehow just seems so perfect. So she's in her second year now. She's about to come back in another month's time for the summer break after the end of the second year. And as this evening session goes on, I'm excited to share our experiences in more detail.
Great. Thank you so much, Ganga, for sharing it. In fact, we really want to ask a lot of questions from you. And for even for the participants here, parents who want to ask questions, please feel free to write them in the chat box. First, we'll ask a couple of general questions from the parents,
Oh,
and then we'll take the questions as well. Apart from that, we have one more parent whose kid is studying in US right now, but he's not here as of now. So we'll take him as he comes. Great. So Ganga, I actually wanted to talk to you first about it. I mean, obviously, we would like to know your experience, like Aditi's experience in SBA, and how is the journey so far? What are the challenges, or especially the challenges or the hurdles you would have faced there, and how to navigate them? But there's one more thing I would like you to address, which is especially the accommodation, right? For example, SVA, I think SVA does not have their own accommodation,
yeah.
right?
Let's understand Aditi's journey and then maybe we can come to
Right.
the accommodation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that is
Um, So I'm going to start at the present moment and then dial backwards, just sort of to say something to anchor everybody's interest first. So Aditi is in the School of Visual Arts, and she joined the bachelor's program there after taking a gap year. So she finished her DP2, which is the 12th standard IB exam, took a gap year, and during the gap year Aditi sort of wanted to take some time off because she was the COVID batch, in the COVID batch, and there was just too much going on in young people's lives at that time. It was wonderful because we had I know me there hand holding us through the whole process, and it was a very productive gap year. I would say productive not only in terms of how much work the child did, but also in terms of her getting to calm down and know herself better and be prepared. I say this specifically because my child is on the spectrum, and this is something which I thought I'd introduce in the conversation today, because mental health and children on the spectrum is something we encounter more often than not in previous years. It's very relevant, in and having information before you make a choice on which college your child goes to or which countries your child would or you may want to consider as a family is also very important, keeping this in consideration. My child initially wanted to apply only to Japan. She had this narrow telescopic view of only Japan, and I remember we had many conversations here with Richa and the others at I know me, who were very supportive of Aditi, but yet wanted her to sort of gently just guide her to look in directions which might be more useful for a person who had her kind of let's say limitations as well as super skills. So in that sense US worked out very well because they understand to a great extent the needs of people who are neurodivergent. So when we spoke of accommodations, the first thought which came to my mind is accommodations for neurodivergent people, and there are a plethora of those. So navigating college years independently actually is much easier than one would imagine. That apart, I will come a little more into the gap year and what we did. So Aditi was of course interested in art, and there was a lot that I know me brought her way in terms of opportunities to work with artists. There was a lot of work she did on her own also. I think she illustrated a book for somebody who was writing their anthology of poems, and what I think stood out, and she did these little films with the Footprints Film Festival. She was there when the summer programs that I know me offered, and I think also having art students need to prepare their portfolio, which needs to be rich and diverse and representative of all that inspires them and all that kind of they're able to put out. So I think our sessions with I know me were very helpful that way because we had experts from recognized colleges and universities in the US who were guiding Aditi, and that helped her put together her portfolio. Eventually, when it came down to the application, of course, she applied to all US colleges, and she had offers from SVA and SCAD. We decided to go with SVA because it was in New York, because it is in New York. And there are several pros and a few cons for all decisions that we make. And if you're ready to hear those right away, I'll share them. Or if you want to, sort of want me to call them out later on, I'll do that. I mean,
Oh, please
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
guess, yeah, sorry.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So the wonderful, so SCAD, I'm sure people whose children are interested in art, design, and those creative areas must have heard of SCAD, which is the Savannah College of Art and Design. SVA is the School of Visual Arts. Savannah College of Art and Design has campuses in the US. They have one in Atlanta and one more, which I'm just forgetting right now. And they do have other campuses on the other side of the world also, like Hong Kong, and they have these outreach programs that they offer through IB schools, where you can do instead of a DP, a CP, a career related program through your 11th and 12th. And then if you do pretty well in that, you directly get absorbed into SCAD. During Aditi's time, she did the diploma program, which in the first place is, I would say, much, much more than what students typically require in an art program if they intend to continue that in undergrad. Aditi did very well in her diploma program. And we decided to go with SVA, even though there was no scholarship that was being offered, because we felt that for somebody who's pursuing art, there's no better place than New York, which seems to be a creative hub of sorts. And with all their museums and art galleries, and they have wonderful faculty who are teaching the students. A number of them collaborate with very well-known studios, and School of Visual Arts offers a plethora of programs like animation. There's of course there's comics, which is the course my daughter is pursuing, and there's fine arts, and there are, I mean, all the stratifications within art that one could think of. That said, there is also a lot of opportunity to study associated areas like art history, art and science, and then art and culture, art and politics. So she's doing a bunch of all of these courses. So contrary, I myself, I'm a scientist from my kind of academic background. And when I first thought of my child going into art, I was like, would it just all be painting and drawing? Yeah, but it is as removed from just being just painting and drawing. The fee structure and cost of living in New York tend to be steep. You have to be very, very sure about taking the plunge. So make sure that your finances are in place. This is a 4-year degree that my daughter is doing, and she gets a 1 year extra to stay on over there. There is, so it is a city college. This is not a campus. This is not a university campus. Accommodation is not a challenge because the college offers accommodation for all the years that the student is enrolled with them. Whether it may meet expectations or not is a separate question. During the first year, I think they give abysmal accommodation, so that the worst is over in the first year, and only the brave ones then move on, I guess. So a lot of kids do prefer to take up private accommodation at the end of the first year. They can rent out apartments. New York, it's pretty easy, but once again, the rents are as good or bad as what you would be paying in the dorm. I believe that the advantage one would have if they took up their own accommodation is to have access to a kitchen, which their dorms don't have. So while filling out the accommodation, you have to be really careful about what you're picking. My child has, chose to pick an accommodation which doesn't have an attached kitchen. So the reality is that all the meals have to be organized from outside. There is no mess facility, or there is no place where they can go to regularly for their meals. And but I feel that one learns how to live life and figure it out on your own. It's unbelievable how my kid has transformed. I remember through 11th and 12th, sorry about that, through 11th and 12th, or maybe I think we started our I Know Me journey where towards the end of ninth grade for Aditi, and it was a long, long journey. And they've seen how the my child, and I would say largely my child and I, we navigated this journey. It was sort of daunting for me to let go. This is a child who has struggled a lot during school years because of being different. But today she manages everything by herself. She travels the city. She's already shown at an art gallery in December past, and uh, she's running a club over there. Throughout her childhood, she was very sort of enthusiastic about collecting figurines. I'm just
Right.
I'm gonna turn the camera a bit. So there is a rack over there. I think you can see 4 or 5 of those doll-like things and a
Yeah.
bunch of her books. Aditi has about must be 1,000 of such. And in New York now, she is among like-minded people who know the value of collecting these things, who invest in books and art, and it's I mean, it's very stimulating at one level for her to actually find people who are excited about these things, because back home we would only say इतना dust लग रहा है इन पे क्या कर रही हो, but she's
Right.
now running a figure collection club over there, and there's a lot of participation. I think it's important for us to let our children follow their heart. Sometimes we don't understand it, and we're a bit overwhelmed. Will it all go okay? Will it all go okay? But
Right.
here we are adults. It's all going okay. I
Yeah.
mean, we should give them a
Great
fresh
to
start.
hear. It's actually great to hear about her, and I'm so glad that she's to hear about her progress, and she's enjoying overall and doing so much of stuff. Great. We have already got questions pouring here, so maybe we'll come back to you, Ganga, with a couple of.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Um, shall we go with Manish? Manish, we've just discussed Manish's son Ronak. He recently got into UChicago for economics program. So how was the journey overall, Manish? How did it all started? And now he's in UChicago. So if you could just share throw some light on it, that'll be great.
Yeah. Thanks, Sanket. I guess, I mean, unlike Ganga, for us, the journey started much later. Honestly, I mean, we started interacting with Inomi somewhere in grade 11, towards in fact, I would say September, October of grade 11. So we were quite late in the process. And I had obviously spoken to a lot of friends of mine, and we knew the journey is going to be tough, especially for US, but it was much tougher than we expected. And honestly, without Inomi's help, it would have been a much bigger struggle for us. So, I mean, we started late, but I would definitely advise parents if they can start the journey slightly earlier, because I mean, US, unlike UK and other countries, does require, I mean, they look at the holistic approach, which means your son or daughter has to be doing a lot of things, right? I mean, has to have a good score. In addition to a good score, they have to be good in extra corrects and everything, and the coursework really piles up. So for us, initially, in fact, I mean, my son Ronak wasn't even sure in terms of what he wanted to do. So, his process of Pathfinder and trying to at least understand what his preferences are, what he likes, what he doesn't like. And finally, to be fair for my son, it was more by elimination, no doctor, no lawyer, but at least through that process, we figured out that he has some interest in economics, business, finance. So we tilted towards that. In terms of, I would say, choosing which countries to apply for, uh, I mean, it was a combination, I would say, because my son's school only allows 10 applications. So we had to decide, okay, how to really go about choosing those 10 applications. Thankfully, UK is one, so which obviously gives us 9 slots. Uh, so we were obviously interested in US for sure. Then the other point was whether we go to Canada, Australia, Singapore. But maybe because a lot of his friends were applying to US at the same time. I mean, I've got family in US, my wife's got family in US, and even my son was quite keen on US and UK. So finally, we decided between US and UK, and then he started working on the journey much earlier. I mean, since grade 9, he did participate in a lot of clubs, trying to build his profile, trying to focus on things. But where me really helped us was because we were going in a lot of directions, or he was going in a lot of directions. So they ensured that he tries to they brought a lot of focus in terms of what we should focus on if we're trying for economics and finance. And then in choosing projects, in choosing what assignments he does, there's a lot of help along the way. So I mean, I can go into details in terms of the entire journey, but I'll stop here right now. and then maybe we can go into details as we go along.
Absolutely, Manish. Thank you so much. And we're really glad for him. He's definitely a very brilliant child, and we are very sure that he'll flourish there at UChicago. We have also got Mr. Ravi here. Uh, Hi, Mr. Ravi. Um, can you hear us?
You're
Sorry,
on
you're on
mute,
mute.
sir. I think, sir, you're on mute. Sir, you're on mute. Can I request you to unmute, please?
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah. So sorry for the inconvenience. I'm traveling, so there could be disruptions in the network. Yeah, my son is in the second year. He's completing second year. He'll be joining third year, and his journey to US and his admission was great and excellent. Rather, since eighth or ninth class, he was sure, but we were not sure that he will be joining some US college, and maybe he was so clear. We were not clear that he was so clear, but he did opt for computer science and artificial intelligence and whatnot. But right from beginning, right from either unknowingly or knowingly, he developed building his what do you call biodata. When I say building, he was into a lot of extracurricular activities like robotics,
Right.
XYZ, and maybe there was in his batch, rather, he was from Scottish High, Gurgaon. So 50 to 60% of his batchmates all have joined US universities. So first time that happened in his university. So peer pressure or whatever it is, as parents, we were sure that he would be going to the best college. Yeah, so he's building up the CV, writing, and he got a lot of advice from me also. And then actually the university he had pre-selected because actually my niece, she is from UCLA. So he wanted to join there, but he did get from UC San Diego and one more UC college. But he wanted to join Northeastern, Boston. He was very much interested in Boston. And he went into Global Scholar Program. So first semester was in London, second was in Oakland, California. Then third semester onwards, he's in Boston. And in London, he got an individual room with kitchen facility. And as the predecessor told that they were able to develop themselves into an individual. This was a very excellent, rather, what do you call say, first year, where he had seen different places and different friends, and college has taken care of them very well. And unfortunately, we could not go to drop him because of family exigencies. He himself went, got admitted into the college. In the process, actually, he missed his luggage also. That also he, rather, I'll say, luckily, he managed very well. And yeah, he became a self-made man. So he was cooking, and now he is in the hostel mess. But next year onwards, he'll be taking individual dorm, and where he plans to cook again. And definitely he's excelling in his studies, and in most of the subjects he is getting more than 100 marks. So that's a very good sign. 110, 115, those type of rankings. And yeah, it helps them by seeing the other members. And he started from the second university year, he started teaching for the new entrants. So there is a program where you can enroll, whether they identify your CV based on your performance and what all you have done in the past. They will give you some teaching assignments in case it is possible. So he's teaching physics and other subjects, computers, I suppose, in the college. So that is an additional value add. And rest assured, morning and evening, we are always in touch. That's a very good sign from seeing the new generation. They seldom talk to us, but this gentleman, he makes it a point to talk to us morning and evening. So our morning and his morning, he manages well. In case you
Wonderful.
have any queries, definitely I'm here. We'll address those issues.
Thank you so much, Mr. Machiraju, especially taking out time. I know you're traveling, so we won't keep you here for long. So
No, not at all, Manish. Yeah.
So we wanted to ask you, like you mentioned, first of all, he did Global Scholars Program, and when he got admitted into CS program, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
now he's in his second year, if I'm right.
Second year completion. So
Complete.
April he'll be complete, April 19th.
So how is he continuing the CS stream, or is there any change right now, or was it
As
any?
of now, nothing. Same. He's continuing the CM and artificial intelligence. He's adding few more subjects. So all related to this field only.
Okay.
And he wants to do, either his admission is for even including masters. So he is planning to change the university. I don't know ultimately what develops and what enthuses him. But yes, he is continuing the same field, mastering major is computer science, and as of now, I think machine language is doing something.
Right, right. Richa, I think you wanted to ask something, right? Please go
So
ahead.
I'm seeing that, there are a lot of questions from parents, and I feel Manish and Ravi and Ganga will all have a very different take on this. So I want to share this question with the whole panel and would like to get everybody's views on it. This is a question about academic performance, right? So the question is that if children are not scoring very well in 9th to 11th, but they get serious only in 12th. So I'll like to read it as, the academic performance can just be going up and down, right? That it's for various reasons, right? So in
Yeah.
such a case, the transcript may not be very strong academically. So then, in that case, does that impact the child's performance and ability to get through? That's the first question. And the one I want to add to that is then how did you work with your kids to make them really have that top level performance to really get into a leading university in the US?
Shall I start or somebody else is starting?
Ravi, why don't you start since we have
Yeah,
a exception for you and
correct.
then we can.
So maybe same thing here because my son was from the typical COVID batch. So they never went to school, college from board exams, rather they did not have 10th class exam. So they have not seen school, college till 12th class. And first examination was board examination. So what happened was in some subjects you excel, some subjects you don't excel. So the only thing is that if from 11th or 12th nowadays, if you can perform well, it helps you in getting the exemptions from your curriculum. So in case you get 80% marks in your 12th class, those subjects all you will be getting exempted from appearing in US courses. Or you can appear for AP exams and you can automatically get exempted from studying those subjects. Otherwise, college will take care of helping you out. Like my son is helping the first year and second year students in some subjects. So there are what you call professors and other resident teachers where they guide you and they assist you in developing and helping you out in clearing those exams. So it is not that tough and it is quite easy. So when I say easy,
I think we lost his voice. I think what he mean, yeah, now we can. I think what you mean is that Anish is finding it easy, which is a wonderful thing, right? We seem to have lost your voice, Mr. Ravi. Yeah. So, in the meanwhile, while we can reconnect with Mr. Ravi, Manish, I would like to get your perspective, but I'll just reframe the question for you a little bit because Ronak was doing so many things other than studying, right? So I know that he did have a consistent academic performance, but I remember that there was a time when he was doing that, and then he was consulting with companies outside, and he was playing chess, and I could see sometimes the stress levels, and he was doing this database research project and so on. So how did you manage that, and what is your learnings that you might want to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for us, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, to be fair, it was quite a stressful process, especially because of the US applications, because my son was doing IB and he got a lot of assignments happening at the same time. There are a lot of applications for which, I mean, Ronak, right? I mean, he takes his time in writing essays. He thinks a lot. He wants to do multiple things, but then he wasn't able to decide in terms of timelines, right? So for us, I would say in the meantime, he also had a UN night where he wanted to participate in a Bhangra competition. So it was quite messy for us. But I mean, coming back to your question, what I would say is grades, I would say, are definitely very important. So, I mean, it also depends on which country you're applying for. I would say for UK, I mean, we didn't apply for Canada and Australia. From whatever we have heard, for these three, definitely grades are very important. And what we didn't realize or we were not aware of was how important grade 11 grades are. Because for us, he was doing well, so we are quite relaxed about it. And in grade 11, his grades did take a bit of a beating, and we thought he has enough time to improve his grades. But what I would say is, for US, they see the progress. So grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, definitely very important. But the most important grade, in my opinion, is around grade 11 and the predictive grades. Because having said that, uh, for UK, you can't run away from grades. I think for UK, you need to have very good grades. But if you're applying for US, I mean, because they look at you holistically, uh, grades definitely give you an edge. I mean, there's nothing running away from it. But if hypothetically your child, I mean, your son or daughter is very good in certain things, they really pursue it to a great extent. They've done a lot of extracurriculars, clubs. It's possible that even with a lower grade, you can get into a very good university. And honestly, I mean, all of us or most of us are Indian parents, so we do emphasize a lot on the rankings and everything. But the key is try to find the right fit for your kid. I mean, most of the universities are very good. They offer you a lot of opportunities along the way. So, I mean, what I would say is finding the right fit for your kid is more important than trying to go for the best university as per rankings or something. And the same holds true for whether you go for US or UK. It really depends on where you feel your child can fit better.
Yeah, that's a very nice, very valid thing, Manish. Actually, finding the right fit for someone. In fact, we also say the same thing, that you find a university for the child where they thrive, and in fact, where they're at the top 50% rather than at the bottom
Yeah.
25% or the 40%, because it has to be done joyfully, in a
Yeah.
balance.
And
Great.
it's really important because I mean, the kid is going to go for a lot of us quite far away. I mean, here what happens is if the kid is struggling, I mean, you can provide support. You might put some extra tuition there. In fact, I mean, I keep on telling Ronak right now because everywhere, every student around him is going to be very good. So don't try and compete with them, but try and excel in whatever you can do. Try and be the best version of yourself. Because if you get into this habit of trying to be the best, then you might find yourself lost in the race. So that's something which I guess hopefully he takes that experience with him.
Right. Thanks for the insights, Manish. Ganga, actually, the question is a little different for you. In fact, the same question is asked by one of the parents, Radhika. She said, "You mentioned a gap year, Ganga. Firstly, congratulations to Aditi and really well done. My question is whether a gap year is more productive. My daughter wants to go in for STEM and will it help taking gap year and doing some college courses beforehand?"
All right. So first of all, I feel that taking a gap year is not so much a courageous step than it is a step which is which becomes evident that it is required. Some children are so ready to just take on the next stage, all right, and be independent. And some children might need slowing down. They'll be able to express it, but many children might need the slowing down and not be able to express it. So if your child has expressed it, it would be very, very useful to consider the gap year. That would be my first approach. Number two in that is to how to populate the gap year. And definitely, I know me or the child themselves, if they're very motivated, they will bring on a lot of uh, you know uh, opportunities to the conversation table. And it is up to the parents to have the eyes and ears open to welcome those conversations, look at them objectively, see what is feasible, and enable it. A gap year need not only be about college courses, it can be about self development, it can be about travel, it can be about, whatever upskilling in other ways. Maybe your kid is very STEM oriented but decides to do something creative, or you know all of that which helps them grow as a person, because first year of college will also be something like that. Okay, it will be all about self development, expression. Like one of the parents here said, that if you have an edge on the grades in some of the subjects, you will be able to carry it forward into college, where you will be able to set it off against credits, maybe the exact same subject or some other. The course load will reduce if you have the grades. Nonetheless, I mean, I did speak with my daughter and a few of her peers before coming into the conversation today, and they say that college is just, I'll read exactly what she's written after speaking with some of her friends. A college degree can do a lot for you, but it does not define you. And sometimes in life, you don't necessarily need the college degree that you graduated in to do what you're going to do in life. Okay, the bigger and more fame related price the college has, there are going to be a lot more sort of challenges that you might face. So look for the college that fits your mentality, your way of doing and thinking, and definitely you will excel academically. While coming back to the gap year part of it, um, like I'm saying, if the child has brought it up themselves, it is a conversation worth having. It is an idea worth considering. They are not going to be disadvantaged. There are many other things which will set us off in our career, and gone are the days where somebody look at their peer and say, "Oh, I took a gap year. Dekho uska salary kitna hai, mera salary kitna hai." I mean, those are all irrelevant conversations. I think we need to be in that in our children's space starting grade 9, not pull them into our space, but we need to go into their space to understand life through their view pain. Children today have a lot more access to so many conversations on the internet, whether it is college websites or the Reddits of the world. I mean, they are continuously in that space where they're thinking about what's next, what's popular, what are my friends doing. It's very important for children to be authentic. Okay, if whatever is their grade, it's okay, it goes up and down, fine. We cannot just pump it up for the heck of it from 9th to 12th and then have them nosedive in the first year of college where they're saying everything is like doesn't feel good. It's better to keep it real. It's better to construct their essays which talk about themselves. With all of that, I remember during COVID times, there were children who probably didn't have access to regular school and stuff and things like that, and colleges suddenly remembered that they are actually admitting young humans, and they had pulled up the stakes so high over the years that everybody is having a perfect CV which they are presenting with so much extracurricular, so much sport, so much grades and everything. And suddenly there were people who were saying that, this is what my life has been about. I'm 17 or 18 and I've already seen so much loss and so much. And suddenly colleges said, we have to become more human. And I love that because eventually when our children have gone through the humdrum of life and they're wondering have they played it all correct, they want to find the humanness in them. So I would say just keep it authentic and let it shine through from now. They will
Exactly.
love what course they pick up. They will do it with joy. It may not match your expectation of how you want to talk about your children in the public space, but it will be what they desire to do. So do not hesitate about a gap year.
Well
It's not
said.
a thing that we consider for an ROI. If you feel that your child needs it, it's also a fantastic year for you to reconnect with your child. Especially they've been so busy through 11th and 12th and all that. So it gives you a lot of time to have those conversations, do those little getaways, think about it.
Absolutely, very well said, Ganga. In fact, I mean, I just wanted to add one point here, which we have noticed with children. So it is very important to understand that why you're taking this gap year. If the gap year is only just to, shine your profile for the application, remember one thing that, for example, if you're applying for US and you're in IB, your IB exams of 12th gets over by, I think, June, July, and you have the next set of applications in the month of November. So you hardly get any time. So it has to be planned really well. And at the same time, the the intention behind the gap year has to be bigger than just the applications or the profile building. It has to have more to it. Great.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wonderful. We have one more question before we wrap up the US part with both Mr. Machiraju and Ganga, which is actually because both of your kids are studying already in US, is about the internship opportunities. How are they navigating the whole landscape? Because what we understand is that right after the first year itself, they start getting opportunities, whether in college itself, outside the universities. So how is the progress right now? What are the updates you would like to share with our
And then
participants?
I would have one last question, Ankit, before we wrap up the US part. Yes, please, Ganga and Ravi. Ravi, sir, why don't you tell us? I hope we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you are. Wonderful.
Yeah.
We can.
And talking about
No, it's frozen again. I think it's a patchy connection. Ganga, why don't you share your?
agencies where am I audible?
Now you are audible again. Yes, tell us, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, I will not say it's easy, but in the sense, yeah, a lot of opportunities are there in the universities, and one such the university itself identifies you for some internships. But these people, they have been given different platforms through the university portals where they can apply for different internships. So if not this particular semester, they will help you out in next semester like that. But yeah, they are facilitating. So my son has identified 2, 3 organizations. We have to see whether they're applying for different organizations. He is likely to be shortlisted in 1 or 2 organizations. So that too, the field which he likes. So I'm sure that maybe because the results will be out by 20th of April, but he's very bullish and very optimistic. So things are bad, but not that bad
Okay.
because US itself is facing a lot of recession and opportunities issues.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the scenario right now, and we hope that it gets better soon. Uh,
Correct.
Please go ahead. Thank you so much, Mr. Machiraju.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pick it up where he left off, saying that it's not a great time for internships. But then that's what I tell young people, that diversify. This is a time for you to, try out as many things which are related or slightly related or unrelated to the degree you're pursuing, and yet sort of grab your attention for whatever reason, right? So it's like how during school years they would be doing a bunch of projects before they get their mind set on a particular stream or what to pursue. So likewise for my daughter, last year I remember she was coming back in the summer, and there are internships. The college does have opportunities for internships, which they start the conversations every year just around the turn of the summer. But my kid hadn't applied for any because she was just finishing up. First year was a little intense, like I said, in terms of the cultural immersion and all that settling down and whatever.
Okay.
But if you allow kids to have agency and explore their ideas, my kid kind of connected with the alumni of IB, and she was mentoring a super junior student through their summer projects. Again, it was for a visual arts project, and so they create opportunities, I think so. And then she also collaborates with a bunch of these studios and small galleries and stuff like that. The students themselves network a lot. So the world is their oyster. They can collaborate with people across the globe. So there is not a need for that structured, is it campus given or is it like, is the college giving it? The college does provide opportunities. There are a bunch of clubs through which if you join and become a member of the clubs themselves then collaborate with other kind of studios and artists, and this is specifically in the area of art that I'm speaking about, and museums and stuff like that. And so opportunities do come by. Opportunities do come by.
So much, Ganga. So I had one last question for the parents whose kids have applied to the US. And Manish, let me start this with you. I find that every year, we try to make our students apply early as much as possible. And even though we say, okay, now start in April, start the Common App essay in April, but things do get delayed, then often there's a pile up of work at some time. And I find that students and often even parents don't tend to properly estimate how much time it's going to take. So what's your learning on when should kids start? What sort of advice would you give parents particularly to manage that huge amount of work that US applications is?
I mean, I guess, the short answer, obviously, you have to start early because, and again, it really depends on how organized or disorganized your kid is. Because, for sure, in Ronald's case, he had a lot of ideas, right? But then as the deadline started approaching, like he worked on his Common App essay almost for 4, 5 months, and he was still struggling to find the right way to express what he was looking for, and his mind went in various directions, and we were getting concerned, and he said, I'm thinking. I said, okay, what are you thinking? It's been 5 months. So we were getting stressed. So that's where I guess, I mean, for you, I mean, Richa, Romy, all of you helped us a lot because, and the key difference was, the fact that you're monitoring all those deadlines, you put all those deadlines in place, right? Okay, for Common App, I need to see a draft version by X and X date. I need to see the university applications, okay, which universities have you shortlisted, how many essays, how will you write those essays? So for us, I mean, I would say the earlier you start, the better it is. We were not sure about colleges in terms of where to apply. The shortlisting colleges takes time. I mean, and again, I mean, it's a very competitive field, right? I mean, and there are a lot of Indians applying right now. So, I mean, you have to obviously distinguish yourself. I mean, the application has to show that the moment person reads the application, they can visualize the person in front of them. So, I mean, I think Ganga mentioned it. You definitely have to be authentic in terms of what you say, but then there also has to be story which easily flows through your entire essays, and all that takes time. Some kids are very good in writing, some kids are not so good, so it really takes time to put it all together. At the same time, you have the IB program also along with it. So I mean, Rich and Romy, at many times, I mean, we went through a lot of stress during the process. You became a family counselors more than education counselors at one point of time. So uh, I would say the process is definitely tough. You need to be mentally prepared for it. Try and keep some deadlines in place, because if you don't follow them, the work keeps on piling up and then the final output might not be the desired one. One thing I would definitely say is, if you're sure about which college you want to apply, I mean, I think ED definitely makes a lot of sense. I mean, it definitely increases your chances of getting into those colleges, especially if you're sure about where your kid wants to go. But yeah, I mean, you have to be prepared. I mean, US application process especially is very tough because they look at you holistically. So you have to look at assignments, extra corrects. You need to work on them. You need to go deep into them. So I mean, earlier start, the better it is.
Thank you so much. That gives us a pretty comprehensive picture. Ganga, I'll just ask you, Upasna has this question here saying, how important are internships during school breaks for your application portfolio? Do you want to just give us your views on that?
Yeah, I think internships or these summer programs are quite useful from two perspectives. One is from the child's perspective itself, because they give the child an opportunity to briefly engage with some activity which they may have not experienced prior. So, suppose the child first thought that they love design or they love, let's say, filmmaking, and they were so sure that that's what I want to do. But you do this little internship and say, oh my God, that was total because I don't want to be part of it anymore. So it actually helps them knock off a few colleges or courses which were otherwise going to be considered. See, and when there is a cap of like 10 colleges or 10 places they can apply to, you might as well want to put only those that the child will anyway consider worthy to get through, right? So the internships are helpful for the from the students' point of view this way. Of course, on the CV they do add some value, because if a college that is considering this application says that yes, the student has, so on what basis first of all do I think colleges pick up the students? They are looking for somebody who will stay the course, not do 1 year or 1.5 years and then fall off the course, because that is then a lost seat for the college. I mean, irrespective of how bad this sounds, I have to say it, that your kid is like the earning thing for the college, right? So if they've taken up the admission, the college doesn't want them to drop off in the first or second year. One thing which really helped us in the US admission process is to actually visit some of these colleges or universities that we were, that were on our preference list. And if you actually set up a rapport with the admission advisor and things like that, it is helpful. They love it if you come and ask these questions point blank, saying, what should I work on to make my CV better, blah blah, and all of that. They love it. Stay in touch with them, write emails, just ask random questions from every now and then. No, I'm not saying that will make sure you get through, but definitely that gives a sense of you're interested. Don't fake it. I'm not saying fake it, but
Absolutely.
sometimes visiting the place and looking at the department and then saying, yeah, this is what I want. And sometimes you're writing to the department and asking, do you actually have the 3D printer? I was wondering if I came there for a course, and do we have that infrastructure and whatnot. They love those kind of questions. Even the essays, Of course, the colleges put out, I'm sorry if I'm exceeding the time that I'm allowed to speak. I just need a minute or so. The
Sure.
essays also, for example, the colleges, if you go to their websites, there's a lot of information they'll give you about the clubs and about the facilities. The more the student sort of gives a sense of, I'm familiar with what this college has to offer and this is what needs my needs, that's an indicator to the college that acha, what I have to offer this person wants, so they'll probably stay the course. Okay, so that is useful to include in the essays. And also, if you have the time and the budget to go and visit these places, a summer vacation to the US, you can cover a bunch of colleges that the child may want to go to and do this kind of thing. Definitely to consider is family in the area. We live in tumultuous times, so you don't want to put your kid like far away from anybody that you know. So even if there are friends, close friends who can quickly get to the place, it's good. Because I was saying, I just put a few other pointers to consider before choosing the college. Of course, cost of living, please don't only count the fees and don't go with what hearsay of people give you the most minimum budget for the month. Children are exposed to a certain kind of life over here, and they will want to step at least 2 feet away from what life they've been having. They're not going to scale down. These are not the 80s and 90s where people are just going to say 500 rupiah theek hai. So please be realistic about the kind of budgeting you do for the day-to-day living expenses. And if it's not a campus and it's a city college, there will be slightly more expenses also, for every meal and whatnot.
Definitely too expensive if it's a city college. Thank you
Yes.
so much for that, Ganga. We have sort of our speakers whose students have applied to the UK here as well. So I don't want to keep them waiting too long. These are some wonderful insights. And there is a question on scholarships here for the US, which I'll quickly answer, and then we'll move to the UK and EU. Gaurav, you were asking about the probability of securing a scholarship. So typically, I feel if the student is very good academically and you have a good profile, then if you apply to not the super top colleges, see, because in elite universities, just getting admission is very difficult. But if you're looking for some sort of scholarship, then you apply to universities that are ranked, beyond, let's say, 30 or 40, or, sometimes universities that would be ranked between 50 to 100, 120 in the US, in the QS World Rankings. And there you'll find that a merit scholarship might come to you, and, $10,000, sometimes $20,000 a year would be something that they'll give you if you're really a student that fits their university. On the other hand, need-based scholarships are available if you can prove a family income that is less than roughly about 30 lakhs or so a year. Mostly people's income is more than that. So, but if for whatever reason that's the income, then you can get need-based scholarships. So, of course, there's a lot more, and we can discuss that more in depth. But I want to thank my speakers. Thank you so much, Ganga, for all your insights. Thank you so much, Mr. Machiraju, for joining us from where you are and taking the time and effort. And Manish, thank you so much. And you're on this beautiful, wonderful journey. UChicago, here Ronak comes. That should be a really wonderful experience for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you for having us here.
Yeah. Thanks, Richa. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Bye.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Stay or leave, that's really up to you.
Yeah.
Right. So we would now be inviting our speakers who have applied to the UK and to the EU, and we'll be getting your insights on studying there and on applying to these universities. So first of all, I want to invite Priya. Priya, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for, we've learned a lot from Priya along the way. I think she's now navigated the US journey as well, application journey as well with her son. So Priya, thank you for being here. And we have Riddhi here as well. So Riddhi's daughter applied to several universities in India, in Hong Kong, and in the UK. And we will also soon be joined by Shveta. And Shweta's daughter also applied to many universities in the UK and is studying in St. Andrews right now. So I'll just invite you, Priya and Riddhi, to introduce yourselves briefly. Riddhi, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Richa. Um, Thanks for the intro. So with Richa and her team, Romy, and some others, my daughter has had a fantastic journey, and they have been guiding us since she was in grade 9, I believe. And For Prisha, we were looking at the UK, where she applied to 5 universities, and at Hong Kong. So she had applied to HKU and HKUST, and in India to a few private universities, all for eco/eco finance program. So we've been wonderfully guided by me at every stage. In fact, when we had started off in grade 9, we were not sure as to what stream she would be liking, finally choosing, or like basically she was quite clueless. So she had taken the Pathfinder program, and that helped us like her to find out what her where her interests lay. And like from there to here, like it's been almost 3.5 years with them. I think is that fine for the intro, or like do you want me to get into a bit more
That's
detail?
fine, Riddhi. Let's hear from Priya also, and then specifically there are so many questions people have because UK is really becoming very popular now. Thanks partially to Donald Trump. People are saying, let me just send kids to the UK. And I know you are still considering UK versus India, and you have some thoughts about it. So that also something I'll ask you about in a little bit. Priya, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody as well?
Hi, I'm Priya, and I'm on this platform at the behest of my older one who worked very hard himself, but I think I know me worked way harder for him to help him achieve his dreams. My older one is studying at Cologne Business School in Germany, and he's pursuing a BA in international business with a focus on international trade. Anything else that you'd like me to tell you
Wonderful.
about him?
That is wonderful, Priya, and I think it's an unusual journey also because a lot of parents realize that Germany is a very useful option for them a little late. When it's already like the kid is already in class 12, and then even learning a spattering of German becomes very stressful for them, and then wrapping their head around it is also difficult. And Germany is one of the key destinations in the EU, and I'm sure parents will have a lot of questions about that as well. So thank you so much for that introduction. And perhaps, we can start with you giving us a little bit more insight on your experience in just watching Paramveer study in Germany and how you're being able to support him. How is he loving it? I know he's loving it. I'm just asking you about that.
Well, Paramveer's journey for Germany, I think, began as early as grade 7, by which time he'd already put in 3 years of learning the language as a part of his school curriculum. He was pursuing the CBSE course curriculum, and German was one of the foreign languages that was there as an option. He took a liking to the language, and for him, everything began to revolve around Germany slowly, steadily, whether it was our work or so on and so forth. But then came the big COVID. And grade 10, the minute they finished their 10th boards, there was COVID, and there was very little chance for us to be able to explore opportunities. And that is when, Richa, I reached out to you and your team, and we were all running a little blind on Germany because it wasn't that coveted for those 2 years. And hats off to your team because you dedicated an absolute single resource to figure out each and every online course for counselors, for parents, for teachers, which all the colleges in Germany were offering. We learned along the way, along the journey, and you guys helped us in such a big way. We went through a process of elimination while he was very good with the German language, but to be able to take educational inputs in a foreign language is a little tough. So we went looking for private universities which offer his course and subject of choice with English as a medium of education. And we shortlisted it down to 3 universities. And while for Germany, there wasn't so much of a profile build or a profile requirement. But that's also because Germany expects 13 years of education for a child to bring to the table, which we in India have 12 years of formal education. So there's a mandatory 1 year student colleague, which is a bridge year, where the child has to be able to take English, German, math, if that's required. I mean, maths is definitely required, whether you're doing a STEM or a non STEM. And the fourth subject is dependent on the subject that you'd like to specialize in and major in college. So that's when you bring 13 years. And by that time, the college is able to have a fairer understanding of you as a child, your ability to work hard, your ability to immerse yourself into a different society. So,
Right.
having said that, yes, that is the time when the child goes through the grill.
Right, absolutely. Priya, thank you so much. And I'm sure a lot of parents are now thinking that should we get Germany into our pack of destinations or not. I also want to invite Shweta. Thank you so much, Shweta, for joining. I know that you were stuck
Hi.
there. And yeah,
Hi.
yeah, and thanks a lot for joining this event. And Shweta brings a very special perspective because her daughter is studying in St. Andrews right now. And St. Andrews was really one of her dream universities. And Manya is an extremely hardworking student, so she did make that dream come true for herself. So, Shweta, if you'll just introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I've joined late. I was really busy in a meeting. So we were with the we I think for 2 years we were with the team here, and Manya was always very keen on going to the UK and St. Andrews more specifically at that. So though we did apply to the US and we got through a few places, but she her primary choice was St. Andrews, so that's where she's really happy there. So the whole process was actually pretty well streamlined here, and we had weekly check-ins, and that which worked really well. And we got a great help from the team with the whole application process and everything, and guidance, and how to go about it. So I mean, it just all
Thank,
I
thanks
mean,
so
just
much,
ask
Shweta.
me something more specific, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
should be
The
able to
question I
answer
want to
that.
ask you, Shweta, is about
Yeah.
St. Andrews because St. Andrews is a dream university for almost is
Okay.
the wrong word. I think all the students who applied to the UK, and I think now more and more students are studying there and they are telling people about their experience there. So, from as a parent of a St. Andrews student, at the same time, people are like, it's cold, it's a college town. How does that work out? It's in Scotland, So, if you can give us that perspective, how was it
Okay.
like studying
Sure.
in St. Andrews?
So St. Andrews is honestly really amazing. For me as a parent, one of the best things about it, I mean, of course, I mean, if your child is someone who likes the big city life and who's really looking for places where there are a lot of like party places and all, then probably St. Andrews is not for you, because it's a very small place. It's like the only people you see in St. Andrews are either students or parents of students or people working there, or golfers, because it's also a very famous golfing destination. But for me as a parent, it works very well because it's the safest place possible. There is zero crime rate. So I mean, with the current scenario, to be able to send your child to a place where there is just no crime, I mean, it's such a comfortable feeling. So that really worked well for me. Plus, it's very, very, I mean, though they're not really places to go to, but then what happens is that children spend a lot of time together. So they just enjoy like hanging out together, and it's really scenic. So a lot of picnics happen. And of course, I mean, education though, I mean, my daughter's in the first year, so I can't really say what happens, later. But she's really happy there. She likes the curriculum. She likes uh, the environment, the place, everything. I think, I mean, if your child gets through and they like this kind of, I mean, like a non-London sort of a small town place, then it's a really good place to be. In fact, my niece also went here. She did 4 years psychology, and then she went to London for her master's. And she said that had she gone straight to London, she may not have, really survived it. So she's happy that first, when she was away from home, she went here. So they
Right.
even have an amazing system where, like third years adopt some of the new students going in and take them through the ropes and try to make them feel comfortable. And all of that works really well for children.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
sounds like they are trying to take care and settle the kid down because often the large universities in the US and Canada kids are really supposed to settle down by themselves and my
Yeah.
kids went through that in Canada, so I think that it's wonderful that St. Andrews really supports them.
Yeah.
Riddhi, are you there? So I just wanted to bring in Riddhi's perspective over here as well. There you are.
Yeah. Yes,
Absolutely.
Richa, I'm
So,
here.
Riddhi, you did support Prisha through her applications for the UK and India and Hong Kong. And
Mhm.
you have a very special perspective here of saying that one destination versus another destination. Are there any insights on destinations you would like to share with the parents?
Right. Yeah. So we were looking at only three destinations, as you know, UK, Hong Kong, and India. And for us, as a family, we felt that we would be a bit more comfortable if she's closer to us in undergrad. So that's why we didn't look at US at all. And um, we also knew that Ashoka Eco program is very competitive, so we were not sure if she was going to make it. And that's one of the reasons why we were looking both at Hong Kong and at UK. UK also obviously is at a closer time zone than as compared to the US. So I think that scored for us over the US, and it also is probably just like we just felt that it's a it's just like seemed a bit closer and time zone wise yeah, like a bit more comfortable and things like that. And Hong Kong we looked at because we have a Hong Kong PR, and she's a Hong Kong she's a PR. She spent like 10 years of her life there, so that's one of the reasons we looked at Hong Kong. And obviously HKU and HKUST are both highly ranked. And in the UK, the five universities she applied to were also, as per, I mean, you both helped in the research, and you said, like, I mean, it was your advice that these are good ranked universities for eco. So I think these were like the reasons that we looked at the geographies that we did.
Wonderful. This is a question now to all the three parents who are looking at, who applied to the UK and EU, that the application process for UK and EU is slightly different from that of the US, because you don't have to, a lot of the statement of purpose you're writing is supposed to have academic depth, and not necessarily a lot of social leadership and community connect, which is what people sort of focus on more for the US. At the same time, just building that profile and managing your grade 11 and 12 academics at the same time, I think that's one of the biggest challenges that parents face when students come to grade 11. So I just want to hear from you guys that what advice would you have from parents, for parents? And Priya, maybe we can start with you first, in just balancing academics and the and projects outside, preparing your CV for applying, some reading, because for the UK you definitely need reading, that you are going to refer to research and papers and books and so on. So how did you manage all of that? Any learnings or advice you want to share?
Maybe my answers are going to be blurred because the younger one is now going to a different continent altogether. But my modus operandi was the same for both my sons. It might sound a little different, but we actually started working with them on mindfulness first, which automatically became a profile build. So we started working with them on their mindfulness right from as early as grade 7. It was a way of inculcating in them to genuinely have that desire to give back to society, not as a profile build. And slowly they learned and developed from there. We weren't fixated on Germany, so we knew the importance of profile build. But with this mindfulness then came the desire, where these boys they really explored a lot of it on their own. They reached out, they did part-time jobs. Can you imagine? I mean, for a grade 8 child to reach out and explore a part-time job at a store, he managed to get that done for himself. On the academic front, with my older one, yes, grade 10 was fantastic. Grade 11 and 12, when you choose your specializations, it all happened during the time of COVID. So that was not really a benchmark of his academic strength and academic capability. But when Germany came onto the picture, he got his conditional offers from UK also. We had applied to UK through you, Richa. But when it came to Germany, they knew that they needed to put him through the rigor for the student colleague, the bridge year. So their requirements were a decent 75% and above for grade 12. And the knowledge of the German language was appreciated, but not a mandate for the application process. A lot of his peers who chose Germany as a destination, once they got their admission, they actually spent 2 months after that doing a crash course with Goethe Institute. Because for the 4 years while the children are studying in Germany, the German language is a part of their curriculum. So they help you systematically move from one level to the other so that by the time you finish 4 years, hopefully you have cleared a B2 or a C1 and are technically job ready for that country.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Priya. Thanks a lot, Priya. I'm also hearing your unique experience during the COVID years. My kids also went through this during the COVID years. I think that experience was very different, and only parents who've seen children go through that can really relate to that, right? Shweta, if I can ask you a similar question now of, how, what insights you could share with parents about balancing academics in grade 11 and 12. And, sometimes the academics are going up and down, and then the students' motivation is going up and down, and there's college applications and everything else to be done. So what advice or insights could you share?
Honestly, all credit to my daughter, but I don't know, she managed everything, without any problems. I mean, all the US applications, while all of them are going, of course, there is, the pressure of pre-boards, and then there is the pressure for boards and the UK application. But I think I mean, honestly, I can't really take any credit. She's just that kind of a person. She managed everything really well, and so, her grades dipped a little bit in pre-boards because there was so much pressure to send out all the applications. But she knew that the cutoff for Andrews was 90. And she just was so keen on it that she just went all in. And in fact, she came first in her school.
For humanities,
So,
remember that.
yes, in humanities. And all the, like, my son just gave his 10th boards, and I knew with him how much time was spent in trying to, okay, now you go down, go to the gym, mentally balance this, that. But I think every child is different. I can't, with my daughter, it was just all very, very comfortable. I didn't feel it. If you ask me after 2 years now, I'll definitely tell you it will be quite a journey with my son, because I know कि वो stress भी हो जाता है और balance करने में भी उसको थोड़ा time लग रहा है. But with her, she managed it herself. I don't know how. She's the best person to answer.
Got that, Shweta. Yeah, I do agree. She's a very sincere and hardworking student, and hats off to her
Yeah.
for totally transforming that academic journey by the time she
Yes.
finished her grade 12 boards.
Yes.
Riddhi, you also would, I'm sure, have a lot of learnings to share on that. Like every parent, I saw you also really take up that baton and say that, how is the child? And then you really helped Prisha stabilize herself academically. So, any insights and learnings you want to share with the parents?
Yeah, I think one important thing to remember now in hindsight that is that, a lot of times, I mean, it's an advice probably for myself also, for my younger one, when I deal with the younger one, that, a lot of times you would feel that you're like the child is really faltering, and, you're not where, I mean, not at the place where you want to be, or where, she herself wants to be. But I think those are just like curves, like, going up and down, ups and downs that happens. And I think both Richa and Romy always also helped us in believing in that, like, in really understanding that, okay, no, this is like, some kind of like just some, ups and downs that's going on. So, don't panic, or, like kind of, just like keep at it, and she will do fine, which is what I think is true. Because she, as my daughter is someone who's like, who wants to give it a go for everything. So she would become involved in every school activity that the school provided, or outside internships, or outside programs, and like competitions and stuff. And that in that, what happened was, we were fearing that her academics are going down, especially in grade 11. But I think with the right amount of push and the right amount of handholding from Richa and Rome also, I believe she kind of like, crossed that hurdle. Of course, like, she is yet to get her grade 12 results, so we don't know yet. But yeah, like it was like, at times it would seem like the boat is rocking, but I think, you just have to keep doing what you're trying to do.
Thank you so much, Riddhi. So now I have a question for all three of you, and I'm sure your experiences and answers will be very specific to your journey. That is there a piece of advice that you want to share about managing the whole application process? Because it is a process, and often when parents go through it, they realize that it's a process. So sometimes there's SAT, then there would be IELTS, there would be so many different pieces of the puzzle to put together. Even filling in multiple applications is a task. So anything that you learned that you would like to share? Riddhi, why don't you go first?
Okay. I think one thing is that we were all of us were involved given our work schedules and all. It was not it was not a one not even a one parent who was actually trying to assist. Like both of us were helping her out, or like doing whatever even if it's like something mundane, like keeping the things ready or keeping the forms ready. We were like always trying to do as much as possible, and trying to be a bit on top of things and not keep things like lying for the end. So that helped. And also whenever we needed like a sounding board, or we needed some advice, we would always I know my team was always very reachable. So and even if there was something that we were probably asking, which they did not they might need some time to find out, they would find it out and let us know. So I think all of these together combined, and of course the student herself, her efforts, everything combined helped.
Thank you so much, Riddhi. Thanks. Priya, anything you would want to give, any advice you want to share for the parents?
One thing that helped us in a very, very big way, and that is something that you channelized us towards, Richa, your team, was that each and every college which is on your dream list, they all have these online sessions where they conduct these interactive sessions depending on if you're a student, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, or you're a counselor. And these insights were amazing because you could ask any question. There was nothing off the table. And there could be so many questions you have, whether it's finances, whether it's living, whether it's the societal structure in that particular city. Within Germany itself, for us, we got such excellent insights from two different or three different universities, depending on their location, a small city, a bigger city, and a mega city. So, attending these sessions, they really opened up our eyes and they give us a plethora of information. So, I think and these start as early as June, July, August. So, it gives you a lot of time for you to be able to navigate and get all your questions answered, and you can attend them more than once because they seem to have it every 15 days or 20 days. So these are amazing ways to collect information. So that was one, and of course it goes without saying, when you work with an Excel sheet where you have your deadlines for draft 1, draft 2, draft 3, it helps keep the child also in check. At the end of the day, they are older children or young adults. So there's only so much that you can expect them to manage on their own.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Then parents play a large role, and both of you, I think Shweta had to drop out, and both of you really played a large role, I know, in your journey, and I know Shweta did too. And you also went through the ups and downs of the stresses along with
Yes.
the child. So hats off to you, and congratulations to both of you on the excellent results that you've got. And Riddhi, you are just starting the journey. Prisha starting this journey. Hats off to her and congratulations. And I'm sure she's going to have a great thing. Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for joining and sharing your insights over here. Right. So, Vikram, I know you also have something to leave for, but Vikram has a lot of insights to offer. So, I just want to bring Vikram in over here, and then I'll introduce you to the other parents who will be sharing insights on India. So, Vikram's son Adhiraj applied to both UK as well as India, and then he applied to UK for law. There was a specific question on undergrad in law in the UK, and then they chose for Adhiraj to study in Ashoka. So, Vikram, any insights you have over there? You'd applied first for law in the UK, then you chose India. Just share what your thinking was there.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, yes, Vikram, we can hear you.
Okay, hi. Good evening to all of you. Richa, as you already know, Adi was gung-ho about studying in the UK, and he'd applied, and fortunately he got through with most of the colleges in the UK. And all thanks to you and your team that you made him appear for the Ashoka test as well. And I really don't know what triggered Adiraj to give up the idea of UK and settle in for the Ashoka course here. But yes, we did our plenty of research about Adiraj going and starting his course in the UK in law. And as far as I know, that it was quite a tedious and a long drawn process, but it was streamlined to a great extent with Ainomi's help. And I believe the prospects are fantastic. I believe somebody just mentioned about the US. Of course, as compared to the US, where everything is pretty dicey right now, UK is definitely a better bet. And when you do law at UK, as far as my knowledge is concerned, it's easier for you to come to India and practice law after giving a bar exam or something. But if you're doing it if you're doing the same course in the US, then I think the laws here and in the US are pretty different. So coming back and practicing here becomes a challenge.
Right, absolutely. Thanks a lot for that insight, Vikram. I also want to introduce everybody to two new speakers who've joined us who will be giving us insights on studying and applying in India. Sonu, are you there?
Yeah, hi, I'm there.
Wonderful, Sonu. So I know you guys also thought of various destinations, but for you, your heart was beating for India. I remember from the first time that we had met you. That's wonderful. And Krishna is here as well. Krishna, hello. Actually, if you look between Vikram, Sonu, and Krishna, we have a very broad range of both universities as well as courses. So, Vikram San is studying economics in Ashoka, and Sonu's son is studying in Delhi University, and Krishna's daughter is studying design in Flame University. Am I right, Krishna? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
Richa.
Hi. So, Krishna, if you can just perhaps briefly introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Krishna, and I have been working with IBM for the last 20 years. And I have one daughter. She, as Richa mentioned, that she's studying in Flame University at this point of time. She joined last year. So, Richa, do you want me to share the experience that I had with you, or it will be later?
Right, so we'll talk about your experience of
Yeah,
applying
sure.
in a little while. Sonu, if you'll briefly introduce yourself as well.
Hi, I have a son who's, like Richa said, he's gone to DU. This is his first year. Again, I've been a working professional. I was working for Microsoft, HP, all the tech companies, and I also have I'm an MBA mother, so I think I have very strong opinions which clash with what my son usually wants to do. So and that's it for me. Our son has decided to stay back in India, and I think we'll speak more once the questions come in.
Right. Sonu, so first I want you to answer this particular question. So, Uday is now studying math in St. Stephen's, which I know is a highly coveted course as well. And he also had an option to study in Ashoka. He had an option to study in the UK. And like I said, I know that from the beginning you were like, but why not India? He should study in India. So tell us how you process that whole idea of where your child should finally go, and why India won that whole debate in your head.
Actually, our thing was even more confusing. We went to Richa. I'm going to take 5 minutes just to build a background on the thing. We came to Richa when Uday was in 10th because our son was insisting that sciences is not going to be for him. And both me and my husband were kind of, uh, especially my husband, we were crashing thinking, listen, he's taking the easy way out. He's a kid who is a very strongly maths and a science kid. What's wrong with him? And he doesn't do what else, but not science. And that's where our journey with Richa started. Can you help us figure out what is it we can do? So it took a couple of rounds. It took even this phase of when we entered 11th. That is the time we were even choosing our subjects. What is it? And that's where Richa and team really worked with us to kind of narrow down on the subject range that we were going to pick up. It was economics, maths, computer science, and psychology, just to build a reference. That's the kind of thing that was moving. Behavioral economics was one of the areas we said, okay, let's target that as maybe a potential line of interest that Uday can carry as a career option or as a work option in future. And that's how the subjects got chosen. Then came the countries. In fact, and I think I have a lesson here. We discussed and we said it's going to be either India. Very simply, Richard, the answer also was Uday somehow seemed to be very keen on India. He is not one guy who was very keen on going abroad. Not very keen. In fact, he wasn't very keen on going abroad. And because we had taken eco and after DU top colleges and Ashoka, very honestly, we didn't know what else and what other options would he be playing it with, what the subjects that we had taken. So we said, okay, international will be a destination. And very interestingly, we said it's going to be only US. So we started with India and US. And that's where the entire 11th and 12th evolved. And in the middle of 12th, I think we took a call saying, no US, and let's bring UK in. And so very late in life, we brought UK in, we pushed US completely out. Uh, Finally, we landed in India. Ashoka obviously was a great story, great option. We've done our research. I could bring in some points. I had spoken to a friend who's a professor of economics in NYU, and all that conversation happened. So we did have a background that amazing stuff spoken about Ashoka also, and this was a very strong option. But we said, okay, let's also bring Europe in because we don't know. Here in India, we're playing with a very small play field of saying either Ashoka or DU, some of the colleges, and it's a hard story that we were working on. If you're asking me how this whole journey, why not US and why UK? Okay, why US was very simple because he said that's the area, the chances are that he's going to do his master's or his PhD, whatever, if he goes into teaching, whatever. His work life, the chances are it's going to be either India or US. And there were some family reasons he's in line for some grade, blah, blah. So we said it's going to be US, so why not get him into US only? And then we realized that from economics being only an undergrad course and looking at the ROI in the whole thing, let me be very clear, ROI in the whole thing, and even it going to be very far, the whole story by the time we landed up in 12th, it just wasn't adding up. And that's when we brought UK in because we thought UK again has a very strong academic calendar. So there are tons of colleges who have a very strong academic calendar also, and it's closer home, you will get that experience. So why not bring UK in? So that is what our journey in terms of how the decision making was happening.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Soni. So, Sonu, sorry. So, I want to now ask all three of you about your experience in the particular university that the student is studying in. And I'll start with Krishna. Krishna, Flame is really a very, very popular university and it's gaining more popularity also. Recently, I find that students have chosen Flame over, one of our students chose Flame over Kriya, one of our students chose Flame over Ashoka, even. So and there are various reasons that people have been giving. So if you can just share, what has the experience in Flame University been like?
Just to give a quick background, I think Sarah joined, the Flame University sometime August 2024. She has gone into design and one sec. And I think a couple of things. What I would like to share is that the child liking the campus, and she's quite settled in the entire environment, and also she got a diverse culture, where she can interact with multiple people, people from different cities within India. I think that bonding really gave her a good strength to, really uh, go through that. And also, she said the professors are very good over there, and apart from that, she has the flexibility where she can choose her different, subjects that she wants to do, both her own mainstream as well as some global studies as well, like languages like Spanish, and Japanese. And apart from that, I think, nowadays kids are primarily they are hooked on to mobiles and all. I think one of the mandate they have is you have to have a sports curriculum. So that's what, you can take any sports that you like, and it can be a part of your, every term you can change your sports academy as well, which gives a better flexibility in terms of being a little physically active as well. But otherwise, the campus is beautiful, and I think the overall she's getting a very nice feeling, and she's quite enjoying, to be very honest. And I was little, hesitating there whether she could be able to settle over there, but within a month's time, she could settle. That was something, very and that was very good. I think overall, touchwood, she's enjoying the overall campus and the overall curriculum of the what she has taken at this point of time.
Right. Thank you so much, Krishna. A lot of students have spoken about how Flame is an excellent university, and especially the sports facilities that you are highlighting. You know,
Yeah.
students who love sports, Flame is a great one for them. Vikram, if I can bring you in, and I know that you also have to leave, so perhaps you can give us your insights on Ashoka. Ashoka is a lot of people's dream university, and yet people sometimes ask, is it all right? It's in Sonipat, it's so far away. Is it isolated? How has the experience in Ashoka been? As a parent, what are your insights?
One word, great experience. I wasn't, I probably had the same questions before Adiraj went in, but it's really close. I mean, we are at Gurgaon and it takes not more than a little over 2 hours to reach, no matter what part of the day. And it's great for the child because if you're somewhere in the NCR region, the child can always visit you, unlike outside the country or even outside the state. It's very easy for the child to come back every weekend or every 2 weekend, every second weekend. And what I've heard from Adiraj is that it's a great college, great students, good mix of students, and he speaks very highly of the faculty there, and has been pretty impressed by the visiting faculty from various walks of life. And one more thing which I found interesting, in which I'm not so sure if it is there in all colleges now or is it only there at Ashoka. They have these very fantastic clubs where they prepare them. For example, there's a consulting club and there's an entrepreneurs club, which is a very different and a great take on preparing kids for whatever they have in mind to do in future. Of course, if you compare it with the outside, budget is a big plus. You definitely spend much less here, and I wasn't aware that especially for people staying in Haryana, uh, all private universities, they give a certain discount to students from Haryana. So that was another plus. So
Right, Haryana domicile.
overall it's been a great experience. He's yet to cover and finish his first year, but so far so good. No
How
complaints.
about pressure levels? They say Ashoka is very high pressure. Has Adiraj been complaining of pressure, or is he just smoothly handling it?
I won't say there's a lot of pressure, but I think it also depends from one child to another. But yes, it is not really the kind of college that at least we went to. I went to DU. So there's definitely more study. Yes, they do get their enough projects to complete during weeks and also over weekends. So yes, there is work, but I think it's nothing extra which you won't face anywhere else. So
Right.
I think it's pretty okay.
Right, wonderful. He's also, like you said, it depends from child to child, and he's a, happy, smooth kid also. Eco is one of the tougher courses in Ashoka, so it's really wonderful that he's handling it, and I'm sure it'll build up and he'll handle himself, as it builds up as well. Thank you so much, Vikram. Thanks a lot.
Also, I'd like to add, Richa, here that, probably because this is the first year and they have these foundation courses and all. So the real studies have not really begun. So for the first year, I don't see a lot of pressure. Yes, I see him studying quite often, but maybe there's more to it when he moves into the second year.
Absolutely. We'll get there, I'm sure, and we are all together, and we'll get your insights on that. Sonu, thank you for bringing this completely interesting perspective of St. Stephen's College, which I studied in St. Stephen's many, many, many years ago, and I remember spending hours on the lawns. But I'm sure it's not like that for Uday. So please tell us what your experience in St. Stephen's has been like as a parent. What insights would you like to share?
something about maths. I've not been to DU, so maybe you can compare. So yeah, the DU story remains the way maybe it was with you. It's the same with the faculty. He likes his faculty. He has his pluses and minuses. This tons to do, but your initiative. You can decide to do nothing, or you can decide to do everything and get completely overwhelmed. So tons of clubs, tons of thing. There is a consulting story. I think the bigger story, and think why we picked this up here was the cohort. Very very strong cohort there, because everyone there is somebody who would have nearly aced the exam to get in that story. So that I think it gets it. But so the second thing, which is the second thing we have to remember, is this place can be overwhelming for people, but somehow he had decided that, if you notice, Richa, he always told you DU is, I would push Ashoka and he would say no, DU is one I want to go. But I think he's gone with the mindset of I'm going to love, I like this place. So he's really making it work for him. In terms of work, honestly, I am shocked. I think he didn't even study half the amount to get into DU that he's doing here, but maybe that is something to do with the course that he's taken. Maths is an intense course, and plus one or two additional clubs, quizzing club and da. And the fact that he's traveling every day, he's taking that in. The cohort is interesting, very nice people from different parts here. But like I said, unlike what you would maybe get in a Kashoka, where it'll be more structured, here it's up to you. You want to do it, good. You don't want to do, stick to the exams. It's a basic, the same story, and then you go along with that. So that's what, and the reason I think we had to pick this up is when he was getting maths, I think it's last minute again, like I said, a lot of decisions were changing. When he decided that maths, it's going to be a not eco for me, I think it was a done deal. There was no other place for maths, honestly. Ashoka doesn't have that strong a math thing. Ashoka is known for a economics story. So if you are major in eco and fin, you move to Ashoka. But if it is maths that you've decided to go and major, then this was I think for us that, or not for us, let's be very clear, it was him making the decisions, and these were decisions as the results were coming in. It was maths. But Richa, I wanted to bring some other point here also, because our journey has
I
been
wanted to get your perspectives on that because I know you also considered Ashoka versus DU, and you really put a lot of thought and
international.
analysis. Yes, please share what your insights are.
International, I think I have a thing here, and even with Ashoka also. And because, like I said, we were preparing for US, moved to UK, obviously also gave it for Singapore. It's not a big deal once you prepared for UK and all, and the whole story goes. My suggestion here, and this is the learning, especially if you are targeting international colleges, especially if you're talking any international college, I think if you're targeting that, start early. Start early, whatever. Questions, whatever you have to decide, whatever parameters are going to be your money, the place, is it going to be lonely, how the colleges are, blah, blah, blah. Do your study, start early. The reason being is the following. For international colleges, your predictive marks go. So 11th board results start becoming extremely important. Now, when you enter 11th, you have just decided the subjects. There are too many things coming in. There is a SAT that's coming in, and you have to ace SAT. If you're wanting, let's say, very academic oriented colleges, you might want to do APs, you want to do that, and all that will have to be done in 11th and 12th. You can't prepone those. SAT, to quite an extent, you can't prepone those. You can't miss your pre-boards because they are going to cause for your predictives. And then you suddenly realize, I need to do a lot of profile building and the stuff, and you're pushing that in. It is overwhelming at a level which is not imaginable. So what is it that you can outsource and finish? At least the major part of it is, if you start early, engage early, at least the profile building story starts happening very naturally. You don't really have to start flustering when you come in 11th and 12th. You will be able to do your, the rest of the stuff, academic stuff, and maybe in a very natural way, you'll be able to build your profile rather than, trying some 20 things at the last minute and, fumbling in 11th boards, 12th midterms. And these are the marks that will go. I think the predictives that are going to go if you're going for a very academic oriented college in 11th and 12th. So, Rich, I wanted to bring that in. This is something I would say as a learning. I wish if this was it, maybe if this is one thing I would have done differently. Change early, start a little early. It'll help for Ashoka. It'll be a very smooth ride. You will also, and the other thing I really want to bring in here is I've not been that hands-on. I left it to Richa and Poonam, and they did a beautiful job. My son didn't want us, like I said, he said, listen, I will handle with them. They understand my day-to-day thing much better. And so frankly, it was Richa, Poonam, the team, and Uday who were doing it. We were standing on the sidelines and just supporting. I think just trust the process that they will go with, because they will build an individual narrative for your kid, which is not going to be similar to what every other kid is doing. So they'll be able to bring in things that the kid is doing naturally in school, naturally studying, naturally playing, just building on it rather than, spreading the energy in 30 places and then coming up with a less than a optimum kind of result. So Richa, my learning, something which if I would have done differently, would have been this.
Would be to start early. And also, I hear you when it comes to that specific profile. I think what we tried to do and what came together beautifully in Uday's case, also because you had that clarity and the depth of knowledge, was about environmental economics and about the research around the environment. And he wrote a couple of beautiful stories about, why the 1.5 degrees is not why should that be the global warming standard that people are looking at, and so on. So that whole story became a little different from the regular financial economics type of story, and I think that was really wonderful. Krishna, I wanted to ask you a specific question now about preparing for applying to design in India, and particularly preparing portfolios along with preparing for college. And any advice you want to share, any insights, any learnings that you had that you think parents can benefit from there? You're on mute, Krishna, if you're saying something.
So I think I'd like to thank Richa and your entire team. I think I was a little clueless and kind of a lost because design in my family nobody has done visual design as a course. We are primarily engineering background. So I think I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you and your entire team who guided us through each steps of the curriculum to get her through the one of the best design college. And she got into almost 8 colleges, and I think the profile building was something which was so strong that she got selected, and then she got through all the interviews for all the 8 colleges, and and all of them are pretty good. And I think we struggled a bit, Richa, I just want to tell to everyone that we were struggling, and then we zeroed down that she got in one of the best design college in Mumbai, ISD, which is called ISD, and then Flame was on the other side. So we were struggling, though we wanted to put her in, ISD Mumbai, but then we were struggling to put her either in Flame or in IST. So that was the 2 colleges we selected. And then I went to Richa and I told Richa, we are struggling to, decide to put her in which college. And I think the one suggestion which Richa gave is, why don't you go and visit the campus? I think that is something, every parents, wherever there's possibility to go and visit the campus, that gives you an idea about whether you want a child to put into this college or, but Flame as such, we did not go to the college to see the campus, but we knew the overall construct, how the Flame University has been. But I went to visit Mumbai, me and my daughter, we had gone there and, personally visited that campus, but somehow you did not get that campus feel over there. So that's how, I think thanks to Richa to let us, streamline where we wanted to put. So finally we put her to Flame, which gives her the holistic, a campus view of everything that she wanted, and we wanted to give her basically. So I think that's what has been a big learning for us in this entire journey.
Thank you so much, Krishna. Yes, I do think that people do college visits abroad, but they forget to do college visits in India. And college visits do give you a lot of understanding of whether I can visualize my kid in this college or not. In fact, I remember one of the kid to this particular university, and then they went in there and they said, oh, my kid cannot study here. And they said, okay. Then they came to us at that stage saying, what can we do now? Because almost everything had gotten closed, but there were last rounds of some universities open. So doing the college visits well in time is really one very big insight, and thank you, Krishna, for sharing that. I just want to address a question here that one of the parents has asked about whether it puts too much pressure on students to apply to the UK as well as to the US colleges in the same year. now I feel that a lot of our students who are applying abroad do apply to UK, US, India. That's sort of like a combination that many students apply for. Does it put a lot of pressure? Yes, it does put a lot of pressure on the student. And then here I'll echo what Sonu was saying, that therefore it's a very good idea to start early. And a good time to start is in towards the end of grade 9 and the beginning of grade 10, before the grade 10 boards pressure has caught up with you. So before the summer of grade 10, so that you can use that summer for the student to do a project, an internship, a summer program. So they get used to doing something in the summer rather than just chilling out. Right. And then they're used to doing something along with school studies, like I'm talking to a counselor once every couple of weeks. There are certain things that are on my agenda, so that they learn to balance something called profile building along with their academics, right? Then grade 11 is often a very hectic year, because you're doing your SATs as well as your perhaps an IELTS, you're doing a personal project, you might be doing a research project, right? You are reading more, you might be doing an online course, you might have picked up a leadership position in school. So starting in grade 10 helps them build that energy and that expectation, and that really ramp that up in grade 11. And then in grade 12 is all applications. Having said that, I've also known parents to take the decision to apply to the US and UK in the November of the application year, and that also works. So that's why when parents come to me and they say, oh, am I too late? I always say that no, whenever you are starting is the right time to start, because from here we see what best that we can do. But if we are talking about an ideal world, then if you're doing all three, if you're doing US, UK, and everybody does India. So if you're doing US, UK, and India, then I would suggest that starting towards the beginning of grade 10 is a great time to start. Then things go smoothly. We can do very good early applications, and everything falls into place very well. Right? So if there are any other specific questions, please share your questions in the chat box over here, or you can unmute yourself and ask any questions that you have. Have I missed anything, guys? If you can help me see if there are any questions here that I've missed. Perhaps one question that I would like to ask Sonu as well as Krishna, that we've asked all the other parents as well, is how do you help the child balance all the various things? Like academics goes up and down, then there are leadership positions in school, then there are projects you're doing outside, and suddenly one exam comes, and then there is a test prep that you are doing. So what can parents do, and what learnings or insights would you share with parents?
I'll go maybe first, okay? I think this is more like what a pediatrician advice would give you, and that is the advice that Richa and Romy would give. I think it's more important for the parents to first get settled down. It's not necessary that you do 20 things here. In fact, for us, I think the bigger story was that there are some must-dos, right? You need to get your grades in 11th as good as possible, and it's going to happen at that time. You don't have a choice, period. Chapter closes. Your 12th midterms you can't spoil, because again, it's a point in time, it can't happen. What definitely can happen is when you're building the profile, when you're doing the extracurricular, when you're picking up those, be very wise in deciding very clearly and consciously, saying, I'm not doing this. I am going to, it's about saying no to a lot of things and saying yes to a few things. And for that, I think the parent has to be like a small kid's parent. He has to feel confident that, listen, I'll be able to do it. I will weave a good story. Even with this, without trying to do 30 things, I will do 10 things. But that is good enough for me. Out of the 7 and 8, I've already done. I just have to continue 2 more. So I think it's more about you sitting with the kid and trying to prioritize with him based on the narrative that he's going to build. It's only those whatever 300, 400, I don't even remember how many word essay that is going to go on what to say no. I think it's important. And in that, I would say work with Richa, Romy, and team. They'll help you say, okay, this is the framework. Help them to help you, and even help the kid in prioritizing what is required, and maybe dropping what is getting very, very enormous, and focusing on what are the must do's, which are point in time and have to be done at that time only.
Thank you so much, Sonu. Ruchira, I'll just answer your question about the APs here. AP exams should be taken if there is a specific need for them, because it takes a lot to do well in an AP exam. Just taking the APs is not so useful. If you get a 4 or 5 in an AP, then it's useful. And to do that, there is a lot of work that you need. Now, if your child is geared up towards an Oxbridge, then, applying to Oxford or Cambridge with the Indian curriculum needs to be supported with at least 3 or perhaps, up to 5 APs. So that would be something that in those situations, an AP would definitely help. If your child is doing very well academically and you're applying to elite universities in the US, then doing a few APs would be helpful. Otherwise, APs can just add a academic pressure to the student, which may not be so useful and may actually fall in the wrong direction. So specifically given your situation, Ruchira, we can help you decide if APs are useful for you or not. Krishna, I know you have insights on this part as well, which I just asked Sonu about how to balance this whole thing of, of academics and projects, and in your case, profile building, portfolio building. So any insights that you want to share on that?
Richa, my take over here is that I know the kid, especially, at 11 and 12, they struggle and they juggle in multiple, aspects, during their either study for school or for exams. So for me, I think I give all the credit to Sarah. She has been quite, uh, you know, I mean, quite streamlined in her approach of whatever she has done so far, and also I think a bit of a breathing help to be little calm during those situation. So I think these are the two, and I did a bit of a hand holding to her, though we did not understand much about how things happen. But then I think with your guidance, and then I did a bit of a hand holding and telling her to be calm, was I think these are the couple of tricks helped her to prioritize which she wants to take and go forward. Yeah.
Right, got that, Krishna. What I'm hearing from both of you is that you stay calm first, right? Like they say in an airplane, that put your oxygen mask on first, and then you help the child calm down and hold their hand. And then, so if you are stable and you're in a good place, like you said, a pediatrician would say, then that's an excellent way to then help your child calm down and stabilize themselves. So thank you everybody for joining us. I just want to share quickly some of our work and how we work with students. A very quick 2-minute overview. I feel that where I always start by saying is that parents are really the huge foundation for a child's success through school and through college. And the school then adds to the parents' work that the parents are doing at home by giving them the correct academic environment and the opportunities to build a profile and to work on their interests. And then counselors sort of come right towards the end, where they are helping them bring that whole story together, sharpen it, have a certain focus that where are we headed towards with this story, and then to actually apply to colleges and make their dreams come true. We work with students in starting in grade 8 and 9. What we offer is a career exploration program, because often these kids are really too young to take any decisions or apply to college, or really start a very hectic profile building. So just saying, what are those 3 or 4 or 5 careers that I might be interested in, and how can I start understanding those courses, looking at some videos, maybe doing a summer program, just getting them towards a track is what we do with Head Start in grade 9 and 10. Then grade 8 and 9. And in grade 10 onwards, we do a program called Pathfinder, which is a career guidance program. This is really a flagship program. It's a 3.5-hour long one-to-one program that I would conduct with each student, helping them understand 70 or 80 different career choices, helping them make a long list of 10-15 careers they're interested in, doing self-discovery based tools for them to decide that these are the strengths that I can really build my careers and courses around, and then helping them figure out that these are the subjects I want to take in school, these are the courses I want to apply in college. And we bring the parents in also in this conversation, and we build a kind of flow chart saying a recommended career plan, a backup plan, and a long-term option for you to really create success for yourself. And then finally, there's College Bound, which is you best started in grade 11 and 12, and sometimes in grade 10 if the student is geared towards profile building, where we help you to sharpen a profile within an area of focus of the target course. So like I said, within economics, it could be environmental economics or behavioral economics. Within computer science, it could be about, let's say, building an app which is communication oriented or study and learning oriented, and doing deeper research in that area. So always sharpening the focus is what we try to do, and then build projects, online courses, summer programs, research projects, everything around that sharper area of focus. Then college application guidance. We do this in a very systematic way, helping children build their college lists, We support students to do as many early applications as possible. And finally, there is college application support, where we work with you extensively on multiple rounds of essays and a statement of purpose, and helping you do your resumes, and helping you with getting all your forms filled in time and applying. And then, of course, helping you decide between all the wonderful admissions that you get. So that's sort of the work that we do with students starting in grade 9, going towards the end of school. And we'll be very happy to speak to each one of you and understand which part of the journey you are on and how we can work together as partners with you. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I hope that we'll all be in touch soon, and take care. All the best. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy this college application journey that you guys are just starting now. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Richa.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sonu, for joining us as well.